It was heart-wrenching when I reached bankruptcy. I felt like my whole world just fell apart. My story, my journey, there's just been so much that's happened and it's a lot to unpack. So even when I talk about my story, sometimes I just want to really speed it up and get it all out because I've done so much. But today, do you know what? I'm going to take my time. So just bear with me because it's a lot. It's been emotional and we've all got a story within us, every single one of us. So my story started with, marketing degree, going into somewhere like Capital Radio, multiple ad agencies. To be fair, I had some great bosses and I did learn a lot. I can't sit here and pretend I had this really horrible experience when I first started out in corporate. But I did want to be a business owner because I wanted to be something bigger and better. I wanted to be able to provide for my parents and everyone around me. So from there, I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to jump straight into being a business owner. And at the time, in hindsight, I didn't realize that's what I wanted to be. Okay, in life, you're always going to find yourself in 4 different places. You're either going to be in that employed segment or sometimes unemployed. You're going to be in that self-employed segment, a freelancer, a contractor, where, you feel like you've got that flexibility, but sometimes it can still feel like you're just a slave for yourself and you're still employed. Then you've got that business owner segment, which can be anything from struggling, you don't even know where your next meal's coming from, how you're going to pay your rent or your mortgage, to having that surplus money and feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to go on a Christmas holiday this year. And you've got that surplus income, but you're still not at this 7-figure or this great place of wealth that you want to be. And as for the investment quadrant, to be honest with you, for most of my life, that was just like some distant thing that I didn't understand. I didn't grow up in an environment where anybody taught me about investment was, getting a car loan and being able to resell the car and not even understanding that the car was a depreciating product. I didn't know what investment was. I just knew that I had some type of desire. So after starting my own first business and really wanting to give back to the community and starting my own online bookstore, it was heart-wrenching when I reached bankruptcy. I felt like my whole world just fell apart. It was the shame. And I think also going to university, starting my own business, being so young, had my first property at 21. When I fell, it just felt like I fell from a great height. And I just felt really vulnerable that I had to explain myself to everybody. I actually remember the day that it was just like, it's over. I'm gonna have to give notice in on the offices. The repossession bailiffs are coming in the next couple of days. I'm gonna have to move everything over the flat. At this point, nobody knew. Nobody knew. I kept it to myself. And every year with my friends, we used to go on these penny sales. Ryanair used to have these flights in January where you could book a seat for a penny, and every year we used to book it. So we were booked to go, and I remember I had to call them and say, I can't go. And when they were like, why? And I remember trying to explain it. And when you get that frog in your throat that's so big that you can't even talk. And it was just like, then I had to sit down and tell my mum and dad. And then the more you said it, was just the more the shame just kicked in. I don't know if any of you have watched the film Game of Thrones, where she's got to walk through the streets and she's naked and they're all like, shame, shame. That, it might sound dramatic to you, but that's how I felt. I felt broken. I just didn't know where to go from there, if you want me to be honest with you. And then, you want me to be honest with you, I ended back up in that employed quadrant. It's only as I got older I realised that the employed quadrant is where what the chimpanzees go. That's where you just run back to the prison. That's like when, abolition of slavery came. A lot of slaves just went back to the slave masters because they had nowhere to go. They didn't own anything or no property. So instantly you always go to back to that place of security where it's just like, let me get that money. And I tell you something, I think this was a pivotal moment in life because this is where my relationship with God changed. Something within me, do not know how, don't know where it came from, there's a voice that just said, no, I'm not settling. I did not go through all of that shame to be humiliated, to have to put my business out there for me to just crawl under to a rock and go back to work. So I started a cleaning business. And I went straight from that employed, where I was only actually employed for about 3 months, straight back into the business owner box. Didn't even go through self-employment. And the cleaning business really gave me a chance to learn grassroots. And the bankruptcy had humbled me. So I think I was in the right place with the right attitude. I was hungry. I knew I had to make the money back to pay back friends and family. So I knew it had to work. And this time it was very, very different. This is when I really understood, do you know what? turning up to any latest function, trying to look a particular way, drive a particular car. I did not care about any of that type of stuff. That's when I realised that materialism is just materialism. That was my lesson that I really took from that. And it also gave me a time to reflect and understand who were the people that were really there for me, who wasn't. And it made me really get strategic and just pull my socks up and just not live for the glamour. If you think, I'm 47, so I've grown up in an age where, for instance, there was no black music videos. Now there are black music videos. You've got people drinking champagne, driving big cars. It's all about lifestyle. And within your culture, you want to emulate that. You want the world to see that you're doing well because you've come from nothing. After bankruptcy, that definitely changed. And I think that humbleness is what really got me in the cleaning business, to cleaning up all night, the buckets, the vans. It was just raw, it was just me. You know, got it to that level of, 6 figures, sold it for a really good sum of money, 500,000, had kids, everything changed. And then by having kids, I slowed down. My wings got clipped. So now I had to go back into the self-employed quadrant. And actually, I'd never been in the self-employed quadrant. So I was feeling quite good about myself. This is when I decided I'm going to become a business coach. I'm going to help other businesses. Because by then, even though I might have been a young age, I've been through a lot. And I felt that there was a lot that I could really offer back to people in terms of business and coaching. So I got into business coaching. That's when I thought, you know what, I'm going to do my life coaching qualifications, done them. And that's when I realised that I think life coaching just wasn't for me. And I think it wasn't for me because after being through bankruptcy, even with the bankruptcy, I don't even know why I'm laughing, by the way. I think I'm laughing because if I don't laugh, I'll cry. The day I had to move back home from getting repossessed, I went into my old bedroom and the ceiling fell on my head. The whole ceiling just came down and crumpled. And I remember thinking, oh my days, like, what did I do? I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, what have I ever done to anyone? And my mum come running out thinking something could happen. It's really uncanny that I'm on camera and I'm laughing this much. But I felt like when I was life coaching, some of the problems people were telling me that they had, I just didn't get it, if you want me to be frank with you. I just kind of felt like, come on, fix up. It's not that bad. You can get on with it. So life coaching just wasn't meant for me. I'm a bit too hardcore. You know, you can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I think I'd been through so much. When I was listening to some of the stories, I'm thinking, okay, when's the punchline coming? I'm thinking, you can do this. But anyway, all jokes aside, life coaching is a phenomenal skill set, but I just don't think it's one of my gifts. So in that self-employed quadrant, I got into corporate coaching. And I think being self-employed, at first, it felt good. It felt like I'm making an income, I've still got freedom, I've got clients. But if you want me to be honest with you, as I got into it more, it kind of felt back like the days when I was younger and starting my own business, and when it was failing and people used to say to me, how are you? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm doing great. You know, we've got radio ads going out, I'm living my best life. And my income was capped. I'm trading time for hours. The kids are really young. At this time I'm traveling. I even spent a period of time in Dubai. I'm managing, life is good, but it isn't nowhere near where I wanted it to be. And I think at that time I needed to have a word with myself, and that's when I realised I don't want to be in the claws of the corporate world that take a lot of glory from me, and actually what I'm being paid is just okay. It's not getting me to that bigger dream and vision that I had with the 14-year-old Natalia that wanted to like change the world and have a global movement. So after being that self-employed quadrant, I thought, right, it's time to move back into that business quadrant, but this time I'm doing it differently. This is when I was really ready to level up my game. And I started Women into Digital Business as a side hustle, while by this time I was still talking on global stages. I was talking for Google, I was talking a lot for the London Mayor's office. I was getting into a lot of high profile projects, doing training, writing programs, doing content creations for some of my clients. And in the background, I'm starting to run my own business. Then just before COVID hit, I found out what I was getting paid compared to white males and even white women. And I was disgusted. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And for me, that's what put me in the business owner quadrant. And I said, I'm not doing self-employed anymore, because all you do is ride off my glory. It's not nice being in a boardroom when you know what you're talking about and then someone wants to double check what you're saying just because you're a woman and then you're black or there's something mistrustful. It gave me a lot of imposter syndrome. It broke my confidence. Constantly being questioned all the time. And then when you bite back, you're the angry black woman. Too much head shaking, too much. It was just difficult. And I just think finding out about the money part of things and what they were paying for me, it just left a really bad taste in my mouth. And that's when really, if you want me to be honest with you, I thought, F you. I thought, do you know what? I don't want a seat at the table. All these promises, we're gonna do this, Natalia, we're gonna bring you in. Still waiting for it to happen now. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not doing this. I started this journey with wanting to rise black people up. On this journey, I learned about sisterhood and connection. And I just simply decided, you know what? It's time to raise my own women up, and we need to be dealing with ownership. Out of the period of history of time, black women are the pinnacle of a community, a pinnacle of the household. If we've got little, we work and we make it stretch to a lot. We teach our children, we hold our black men down. And I just felt it's my time to give back. And with the amount of sisterhood and the love that I get from this community, this is where I'm headed. So that was the birth of Women in Digital Business and me really staying in the business owner quadrant. But ladies, this time I was not regressing back to self-employed or back to employed. So that shift and change had to come where it's just like, how do I take this business and really elevate it to become a business owner? And by this time, I knew what an investment was. Because had I have just invested in a Amazon, a Google all the way back then, where would I be now? So I'm very aware that the more I can invest in AI, the more I can invest in technology, my children's life will look better. And really, that's how I started learning about automation, funnel building, software, how to make connections online with people, how to really be visible online and use a strategy that I was using for all these corporates, but use it for my own community, but stay in this quadrant and level up. And the most important part for me is that through that whole journey that I've been on, I'm now in that business owner segment, and I realize who it is that I want to work with, who it is that I want to help and elevate. I don't want to stand by myself anymore. I want to stand with a whole group of women next to me, either side, in front of me, behind me, and really build out solidarity, really build out a force that cannot be reckoned with. You cannot take our content and you cannot make generational wealth from it. We want to have ownership and keep our ownership and make sure we are creating generational wealth, and not just wealth in terms of money. Okay? When we're all gone, all you've got is what you're remembered for. What are you going to be remembered for? I want all of us to be remembered for something. For everything. I've got a story, you've got a story, your sister's got a story, your sister's got a story, your mum's got a story, your grandmother's got a story. If we're telling stories, it's going to make us so much more stronger. And it's a community that I'm building this business owner quadrant, because I want to invite as many of you into it as possible. So none of us have to filter back down into the self-employed and feel that, that just lack of belief in yourself that's been given by the system and society. Systematically, we were never meant to win. The system's been built like that for thousands of hundreds of years. Probably is thousands of years from biblical time. That's how it's been built. The system's never changed. Different governments have come into play, yes. The world's moved on technologically, yes. The world has changed, yes. But the systems that we live under have never, ever changed. So it's important to me. I don't want to be in a quadrant by myself. I don't want us to be, leaning into all the things that the system bamboozles us with. Black culture is pop culture. But what they've done is they've taken all the bad parts of black culture, made it pop culture, and then now we get tarnished for the bad bits about it, but no one talks about the great things. No one talks about how fantastic we are. You've got to ask yourself, why does this system want so many more black women in tech? Why does this system say, okay, if we're going to create a boardroom, we're going to let 1 or 2, 3. Why is it the black woman that goes through? But it's just in the 1 or 2s or singular. If we all come together on a platform and there are millions of us, you've got to think to yourself the change that would occur and what we can do. And that's what I'm inviting you to do.